Okay, everyone, Alice here, and it is our March movie night for 2017, and I can't believe it's already March. I'm kind of excited. We have a lot of front-end loaded activities this month for March because I'm doing a little bit of an exciting traveling later on this month. I'm attending my son's provincial championship swim meet. It's a 3-day swim meet, and that is happening near the end of the month over the one weekend. And then I'm actually off to the Bahamas for a 1-week scuba diving adventure, which I'm really, really, really excited about. So it's going to be a little interesting because that is the end of our March, and I'll be back barely at the end of it and off to another swim meet. That is our life. Yes. Oh, thanks, Alice. And she's like, I'm so jealous. I'm like, thank you. Yeah, I'm very excited to go off on this scuba adventure. My son and I are both going, and just the one. So the 16-year-old and I are going, and I was wishing that we could have become a whole family thing, but that just didn't happen. And we've taken the course, so we're ready to go do our open water training. So the next thing is, okay, so I will make sure that I have the sheet. Oh, it's right here. Our next thing is the Scrapbook Live event is going to be on the 12th, which is this coming up Sunday. I'm still crossing my fingers. Feel free to cross some for me that my Gossamer Blue kit will arrive before then, because it usually takes about that long to come. So we'll be checking the mail every day this week in hopes that it arrived quickly this month and that I will have that. If not, I will have other lovely supplies to play with that day. And I'm sure that Lori will still have our lovely giveaway for our Gossamer Blue kit. So hopefully you can join me. That will be at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. Somebody mentioned that there's time change this weekend, so just beware of that. I think that it shouldn't be a big deal, and obviously that may not affect everybody where you live. Yeah, Natalie says, Daylight Savings Time alert for the 12th. Yeah, so that's super fun. I'm not a big fan. Anyways, on the 22nd, we'll have our happy hour at 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern. And by then we should be on regular times and it'll all be fine again. Yeah. Okay, so that's what's happening here this month. Just as a quick refresh, let's watch our movie. So like I said in the preamble, we're going to watch a craft room tour. And I found this one to be very different than other craft room tours. Like, she doesn't, well, exactly go into every single bin and every single thing. It's only a 15-minute tour. But the way that she's incorporated her stuff, you're going to love it. So super, super fun. And we may as well just get started on that. So we'll watch that. And it is Paige Evans tour. So share computer sound and
Hey everyone, it's Paige Evans, and today I want to give you a peek into my Happy Scrappy place, which is essentially the whole first floor, the main floor, and the basement, and anywhere that I can fit a project, I do. So let's start in this little area right here. Once I finish a layout, I put it into a page protector and I tape it above my computer so that I can look at it and admire it for a little bit before it goes into a scrapbook. Because let's be honest, we don't flip through our scrapbooks too much. So this area holds 35 layouts, and as you can see, it is completely full. So in just a few days, I'm going to take them down and they will go into a stack, which I will also show you. So here's my computer where I get stuff done. This is my printer. It is a Canon, let's open this up, a Canon MP560, and I print most of my pictures at home on this. Telephone, internet. On the side is where I tape design team information. And then I've got a Rascog cart filled with random stuff that I need. Not a whole bunch of scrapbooking stuff, just more like office supplies and stuff for the kids. So pretty much everything that you see from here on out as far as furniture goes is from IKEA. So this white unit is from IKEA, And on top, we've got a wedding photo, projects that I'm working on, string art that was commissioned by my friend Elizabeth Gardner that she made me, and I love it. A Heidi Swapp Love marquee light, and then my Brother sewing machine that I use all the time. So let's go through each section of the cubby, each cubby. So here is my pile of layouts, and this is about a year's worth of layouts. And I just stack them here, and they wait to be filed away chronologically. So it takes me a long time to do this because I have to go through, find when the picture was taken, and then I stamp it somewhere on the layout, and then file it away again, yeah, chronologically and by subject. But I love all of the threads hanging out, and you can see the buttons and dimension. Here is an antique rotary stamp holder. There's the one from my not Fancy Free, but Take Me Away collection. Also large Studio Calico roller stamps. And then I don't even know what that little black thing is, but my husband told me not to throw it away, so I shall not throw it away. In this cubby, I've got boxes of embellishments by color, mostly American Crafts buttons and brads, random embellishments, wood veneer, and the top one is sequins, also arranged by color. In this cubby, Instagram 4x4 albums. There isn't anything in them yet, but it's just one of those projects that I would love to complete. Just pull an album out, work on it, and then have it sit on the shelf. In this cubby, I've got my Silhouette Cameo 3, Heidi Swapp Mink, and then this is a bookbinding tray that my dad made. It makes punching the papers so much easier to have this tray. In these drawers, in the top drawer, I have paints, acrylic paints, watercolors, and stamps. In the drawer below is where I keep my inks, spray mists, acrylic blocks. In this top drawer I keep cards, handmade cards, and most of them are a few years old, but when I need a card I can just grab one and mail it. In this drawer is where I keep all of my thread for all the stitching projects that I like to do. In these 4 boxes, it's mostly adhesive, so when I need to scrapbook or when it's time to scrapbook, I grab this box. Let's move the paper cutter. I grab this box, which is full of most of the adhesives that I need, as well as stays on ink, tape, and the scraper that I use to clean off my Cameo mat. This drawer is all excess adhesive, more adhesive, and then this box has photos. Most of the time I print my photos as I go, as I'm scrapbooking, but once in a while I'll dig through this box and see if there's a photo that I really would like to scrap. In this shelf, this is a little cubby of books that we're currently reading. I'll take you downstairs so you can see our quote, unquote little library. But the books we're reading right now, me and my husband and children, are all right here. Also Silhouette Cameo mats and a scoring board. In this drawer, I keep my Cuttlebug die cut machine, cardstock so I can see which color I need, and then iPads, catalogs, folders for all of our upcoming travels, like taxes, design team information, lots of things in this one. Okay, moving down to the next row, this red box has got baker's twine and a whole bunch of ribbons arranged by color, as well as a bag of washi tape. You can peek down in there. In this pink box, I used to make pacifier clips for my Etsy shop. I don't really do that anymore, but I can probably take this drawer away and replace it with scrapbooking supplies. I should do that. In this center cubby, I got this blue wooden X from IKEA as well, and then I've got a whole bunch of yarn for crafty projects. This green box has fine art supplies, so like acrylic paint and watercolors, paints, oils, brushes, crayons, lots of things left over for when I took fine arts classes in college. You never know when you're going to need those things, so I keep them up here. In this heavy box, I've got bookbinding supplies, so everything that I need to make my books, Coptic books. Let's see, in this corner really quick, so this is my photography studio lights and tripod. And then down here I keep white foam core boards and a few different colors of papers for photographing on backdrops. And also rolls of faux wood. Is it going to focus on that? Rolls of faux wood for photographing. In this pink box, I've got a bunch of DIY projects that I want to complete. A bunch of tags, memory decks, all kinds of fun things. Also projects for the kids. Here in this box, I've got shipping supplies, envelopes, stamps, those kinds of things, customs forms. In this box, we keep electronics, so like headphones. This is my external hard drive, blow dryer for making my projects dry faster, charging cords, old cell phones, printer ink, fun stuff. Okay, this super heavy box is full of all of my punches. I love using punches. And then in this blue box, we've got thickers, alpha stickers, papers, and 6x6 pads. Finally, we get down to the scrapbooking collections on the bottom row. So in this one, I've got some Studio Calico kits, Maggie Holmes collections, papers that are really old but I can't seem to throw away. I just want to use them. And then my go-to color of cardstock, which is white. In this beautiful floral box, I've got all my Pink Paisley collections. So there is Oh My Heart, Take Me Away, Fancy Free, and then also all the other Pink Paisley collections. So there's the new Sweet Freedom, Moonstruck, Outfitters, Birthday Bash, and moving into even older collections back there. In this box, I keep all the extra 4x4 mini album page protectors, all my embossing powders, 12x12 page protectors, and then I also love scrapbooking Halloween and Christmas for December dailies, etc. This white wicker basket holds office supplies and felt. So there's pens and then paper clips and all those kinds of things. Felt. I need to figure out what to do with all this. And in the last box, catch-all box of scrapbooking supplies, silhouette cameo things, glitter and glitter glue. So you never know when you're going to need these things. I used them recently at a church crafts class for little girls, so always good to have those kinds of things on hand. So that is the main Happy Scrappy Place. Colorful boxes, and then I'm going to spin you around. On the other side, this is where I store my scrapbooks. Hi, Joey. So this is a Fabri-Core cabinet, and it holds, is it 18 scrapbooks? These are for Jane, for Fox, and others. On top, I keep a basket of scissors, and then the Heidi Swapp foil for the mink. That one is full, so I had to get another one. Right now it's holding my December dailies, my October dailies, and then albums. On top I've got the pink typecast by We Are Memory Keepers. Up here a little bit of decoration that I made. This is a paper garland that I made for my stitched class at Studio Calico a few years ago. And if you're curious, so we get a magnet from every place that we go. This is about almost 4 years worth of magnets. Found these frames at local flea markets, spray painted them gold, put a sheet of metal inside, and now it holds all our magnets. So that's the living room. If you move over to this area, we installed these shelves around Halloween because I wanted a way to share all of my Halloween stuff. So I scrapbook mostly by collection, and my current collection, so this is a acrylic bin organizer full of Oh My Heart. So when I scrapbook, I just take out what I need, scrapbook right here on the table, and then put it back right in here. And I don't really have to waste a lot of time cleaning up and putting everything back over in the unit. String art projects, and then got a cute stapler that Catherine from Scrapbooking Cards Today just sent me. I love it, so cute. And then a little basket of scissors, paintbrush, pens, pencils, things that I always use on my layouts. My good scrappy friend Zoka sent me these dreams letters that she used with that she made with Fancy Free, and I loved them so much, and she was so sweet to send them to me. They fit perfectly on this shelf. And then also an exploding box that I've made that I'm teaching, a couple mini albums, cards, Coptic books, a bracelet from Christine Middlecamp at the Quirky Nook Etsy shop, another mini album, exploding box, stitching project, bird cages that my friend made me a long time ago, and another one of the same exploding box. Spinning over this way, on top of this closet is where I keep one of everything from my scrapbooking collections. So there's Fancy Free, Take Me Away, and Oh My Heart. No touching. These are just for me, for posterity, and for record keeping. Yeah, just fun to have one of everything up in there. In the hallway, going up the stairs, I've started to decorate with projects that I've made, so yarn tassel garland, and a whole bunch of big picture classes projects, and stitching projects. And then if we go downstairs, I apologize if it's a mess, I haven't been down here yet this morning. This is where the kids like to play. Do you recognize the pink couch? It's a die cut and Take Me Away. This is our library, quote unquote, where we keep all our books. My husband and I, we love to read. Hello, Rachel. So here's where I keep all of my cardstock. When I worked in-house at American Crafts before we left to move to California, I bought 50 of every color. I've had to replenish just a few colors because I always use the same 5 colors for backgrounds, I feel like. And then in the basement laundry room, this is where I keep all of my extra scrapbooking stuff. So these are kits for upcoming classes that I'm teaching. And then bins of more things, more Oh My Heart that I need to kit. I need to put all of this into kits. Class materials, bookbinding kits, bookbinding class teaching materials, more bookbinding, and photography props. So, get a good idea of what our house looks like. My stuff is taking over. Let's just go back upstairs so we can end on a happy, colorful note instead of the basement. So, thanks so much for joining me on this tour of my Happy Scrappy place. I would love to see yours and get some ideas. So thanks for watching. See you again soon.
Okay, I'm back. So, okay, I've totally missed the comments here. I'm going to have to see what people have been saying. Oh, Sue says this is making me seasick. Sorry. She, I think in the beginning I felt that way, and then after once I got in, I'm like, ooh, what's in that box? What does she have in there? So, yeah, let's have a look. She knows the collection names, and it's coming across more like a slideshow. Oh my gosh, I told my kids to make sure they're not on the internet here. Allison says, I don't feel so bad about my stash now. But I saw lots of things that really inspired me in the way that she was showcasing her products, and not just her products, like her projects, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Just by having it so built into their whole home kind of thing. And I thought that that was a really interesting thing. I personally don't do enough of that. I think I kind of keep my crafting in my little crafting area, but that keeps it so separate from the rest of my family and the rest of my house. And I think it fails to kind of let some of that, that passion that I create with be part of my family. So I'm just going to ask you to quickly put in the comments, how are you at incorporating your crafty projects and bringing your scrapbooking kind of into your everyday part of your home, into your where your family interacts, and just into your general life, I guess. So if you want to leave something, just mention in the comments, say, yeah, I have things everywhere, or no, it's only in one space, or nobody gets to even see the albums when I finish them. That tends to happen here a lot. I do all these awesome projects, and then later on the kids will be talking about something. I'm like, oh yeah, I scrapbooked that. You want to see? And they're like, I've never seen this. April says, I have things everywhere and my family complains. Oh no, that's awful. One thing that I thought with Paige's tour, everything was very colorful. It was very much her style. You can kind of get a feeling for who she is, and you understand, all those bright colors because her layouts look the same way. So her styles kind of came across in her home decor, in her pages that she creates. Melinda says, I have my albums in the living room and the kids flip through them all the time. I love that. Oh my gosh, I love hearing that. That's so wonderful. Sue says, supplies are in my studio, but the scrapbooks are in my family room. And I think that's something that I need to do, is get my books where they can be used a little bit more and accessed by other people than me. The one thing that I thought was really neat is right behind her workstation, her computer station there, she had that little gallery area where she puts up what she said, 35 layouts, and displays them so that you can actually see the newest and greatest, and it's right there on display, which I thought was extra fun. Allison says, my messy stuff is on in my scrap cave, but my albums, finished or not, are all stored in the family room or living room so the kids can look at them. And yeah, she loved that. Yeah, I thought the gallery was great. I actually personally have a gallery. It's right at the top of the stairs as you come into my room. There's 9 magnetic frames. So I just, use the little magnets to pop the layouts on there, and I post those up. I'm not good about changing them out like I wish I was, but, I keep things that I still find inspiring. And as I come and go from my room, I always catch a glimpse of something there. And it's oh, yeah, that was really good, wasn't it? And I think that by seeing that progress that I make and seeing the pages that I create, it helps to keep me more motivated for it. Melinda says, I have my latest layout in a Rolodex type of thing with page protectors on it next to the TV. Is it something kind of like this? Hold on. Kind of like a thing where you can do something like this, Melinda, and have different layouts. I just have the one on the front because that's my display one. But is it something a little bit like that, like a Rolodex style? Yes, exactly. Perfect. Yeah. I also thought that overall, her stuff looked pretty organized. I thought that looked pretty good, but they were grouped within the boxes, but within the box, it was it wasn't oh my gosh, that's everything is so perfectly in there. It was still very functional and very real in the way that, you're going to be in and out of that stuff all the time, and you're going to keep things that you need together. And I thought that even with all the colors, because I think sometimes when I think of having that many colors all in one space, that would be overwhelming or look kind of cluttered or messy or something. And I didn't get that feeling at all. It looked very clean and very, very tidy. So I think that that was something really neat to see, is that you can bring that many colors and that many things into that space and still have that Allison said some of her boxes were a bit too messy for my workflow. It would take me too long to dig through. The punches, the punch box. I literally, when I saw the punch box, I'm like, oh my God. Like I was, it was very overwhelming because, you know, she said, I love using punches. And I'm like, oh, how can you even find them with that? But, you know, if it's working for her, and, you know, I guess part of it is that cost analysis, basically, where it's like, how much is it going to cost me in time and effort to make a new system that is a little better, or maybe it's a lot better and would work a lot better compared to like looking through the box when you know that you have the punch and finding that punch. Maybe it takes an extra minute every time you need to find a punch, but you know, you're not spending extra time finding a new storage system, and you're not having to maintain a different storage system. So maybe it comes down to that kind of cost analysis, like how much is it really costing me to have this jumbled box of punches? Yeah, Melinda said with the colors and everything and the design, just the way it flowed, it was so Paige Evans. Yeah. I noticed that when it actually came to the actual things that we think of as scrapbook supplies, like her papers and those kind of supplies, other than that big pile of cardstock that she had in the basement there, it didn't seem like she had tons of supplies on hand, really. Like her pattern paper collection was small. She had those few bags and those few papers that she said, I just can't part with these. But it didn't seem like she had a huge abundance of supplies, which I thought was pretty great to see. She's working, obviously she's a designer, so she's working with products that she's creating and, you know, things to promote her own stuff. But at the same time, you know, she's still using some other things that you could see all within there. And it just wasn't an overwhelming amount of supplies. And even taking her stuff over to her table, she had that little clear acrylic rack at her table, and it had this one little collection on it, and she had all the things to work on a project. It was kind of like creating your own kit, or having like that small kit where you just say, okay, I have these supplies, this is what I'm going to work with today. And that limiting of supplies can be super handy and super convenient, right? So anybody else want to share any comments? I've got a few more things to say, but you know, I'm very open to other people. Like, go ahead and take your thing off of mute and say anything. I'm all good with that. I'm listening. Nothing yet. Okay. I thought that her magnet board, like, I know that's not a scrapbooking thing, but it's always interesting to see how people display collections of like knick-knacky kind of things and different stuff. And I just thought it was such a brilliant look for the way that to display that magnet collection. That was kind of fun. And those frames, you know, sure, they might have been like thrift store kind of frames, but they look gorgeous. The small collection. And yeah, I really liked how she keeps one of all of her supplies, like for her own personal collections. Like, I know, like, if I was a designer, it'd be like, oh, I made this and I made this, like I created these. So I thought that was pretty great that she had them. She's like, look, but don't touch. Those are the collections. And I thought that was pretty good. Allison, said, yeah, that was cool. I would totally do that too. April says, the Paige Evans Smithsonian, where she kept her own supplies all on hand, and you know, it was her own little museum of things that she'd created. Allison says, I keep a copy of any magazine I'm published in. And I've been published once, and I definitely have that. It's usually sitting out and about where I can just whip it up and say, look, I was in a magazine. It's, you know, that little piece of pride. And, you know, lots of times that comes with like the pages that I'm creating and whatever. But when you have that extra little piece, that's just kind of cool that she's given that a place of honor in her home. One thing that I saw was like she had so many things of hers, but I noticed that on her walls, I actually didn't see like a lot of like family photos or things like that, which is almost funny when you're a scrapbooker and you're involved with so much with that has to do with photos, and yet I didn't see a whole bunch of photos. Maybe I just missed that in what I was seeing, but I didn't notice a ton of photos on her. And feel free to correct me if I was wrong and be like, Alice, they were everywhere. You were just looking at the shinies and pretties. that can happen. But yeah, and I think for me, like when there was definitely like lessons that I want to bring into my space. So even now, like if you look behind my head here at my countertop, it's looking rather cluttered. And I'm sure if I pared it down and maybe closed off a few more things to make it just stored a little bit prettier. And I noticed like, messy things were stored in boxes so that they had that pretty container. You have all those messy things inside, like the punches. It was like this big jumble, but they were in this lovely bin. So the bin itself looked good. And I think that, just having that approach to it, and then pretty things she would put on display. So if you saw on the case where she stored all of her albums, on top of it, she had this pretty container that held all of her mink colors from Heidi Swapp, like her mink foils, and they were just displayed like a decoration in her home. So I thought that was another little interesting thing, like the way that she definitely used the things that were naturally pretty as decor, and then hid away the things that aren't so pretty all by themselves. So I thought for the next part of this, we would kind of talk about ways to keep things clean and simple in your own, either in your own organization. If anybody wants to share their tricks or tips, then that's fabulous. And what they're using for storage solutions, but then also talk about layouts. And hopefully, I don't know if anybody has any on hand and wants to hold anything up, but just different tricks that you use to create layouts that are clean and simple and just let you get those stories told and get those pages scrapbooked. One thing I did honestly look at was maybe like a Becky Higgins kind of Project Life kind of video, but I just didn't find anything that was kind of short enough and succinct enough that covered enough tips that it just really felt super relevant. I found a nice long video that had so many awesome ideas in it, but it was like very, very long and we wouldn't have had any time to chat at all. Okay. Yeah, so I think that for me, I've got a little stack of layouts. And one thing that I do is I tend to have a few go-to designs. And it's not even that I necessarily have those written down and be like, hey, try this one or this one or this one. But I do have a few designs that I use on layouts, and I tend to just gravitate to them over and over again. And one example of this, and this is like a super old layout actually, is the 3 photos in the middle of the page. I've done layouts that look like that several times. I could have pulled ones from different decades basically and still had layouts that look like this. Like this one, I think, well, this says 2004, and I don't know if it was scrapbooked exactly then, but it's fairly close to that time. But the whole 3 in a row photo is something that I've done a lot. And I think that by having, as soon as I look at 3 pictures that I have that kind of go together, maybe I want to use them all to tell the story, then, it becomes something I start laying them down and my page just naturally turns into this. It's not like I even have to think about it. Jacqueline says, I have 2 frames that I filled with sticky magnetic sheets, and I have my dies on them like art. Oh, that's really cool. So, your like the dies that you use for like doing like the die cuts, right? Like the metal dies. I know that Jeanette has a system where she has that magnetic tape, like the magnetic sheets lining the inside of drawers in her craft room. And so when she pulls open the drawers, the dies, like they don't move, they stay in place. And I'm just like, oh, that's really good. I've been battling, I don't know if I have them right here, with a set of dies right now that I've got. They're little alphabets. And I had picked those up when I was down in Texas last year. And there's a lot of them in here. I don't know if you can see, but there's multiples of every letter, like so that you can spell out a whole word, punch it out, and it's kind of like done. So for example, there's 6 E's in the set. So with this many letters, as soon as you're digging through this kind of collection, it's a little bit fun to go searching for the pieces, but you know, the fact that it's so convenient once you do find them is pretty great. Allison says, oh, I like that idea. My dies are stored in one of those Stampin' Up! Wooden stamp containers. Some are on magnetic sheets, but most aren't. Another, back in the day before Project Life was even a thing, color blocking was actually a thing, and there was templates. And they basically just had little boxes in the templates, and you would basically create a layout where you fill in the boxes. Oh, Allison says, I've been using 4x6 magnetic photo sheets. I could try that for the letter dies. I will, because I need to try something. I find those torturous to go through, but they're so convenient. So back in the day, we had color blocking. So I have a template. Actually, I'll grab the organizer I use to sort my templates, and I'll show that with you too, because it's pretty slick. Okay, so back in the day, we had templates. I have templates. I keep them in this kind of not beautiful looking binder, but that's what I've got right now. And they're all stored in page protectors. I just bit the bullet and picked up a bunch of them. So we had templates like this, and you could turn them all over, like, you know, in many different orientations, and, you know, you'd create your layouts where you kind of filled in all the blanks on that template, and you'd kind of just look and see what orientation kind of fit the best and worked with your photos. And I brought this out because it's kind of like a precursor to what we see with Project Life, or with those pages that you create sometimes that are like a faux Project Life kind of layout. And I just had a couple other little examples of those color blocked kind of layouts right there. And I think that, you know, seeing that progression over time, there's so many ways that people are coming up with to make that scrapbooking just a little bit easier. And that's why I wanted to kind of show how things come. Pretty layouts. Yeah, they look good. I look back at them and like they're definitely older. Like this is from Easter 2003, but you know, like I still look at that, and you know, we've got Easter bunny pictures, and I've got, it's not really a bunch of story. There's a little bit on the tags there on the other page that goes with it. But I was able to capture that story. Sue says, I haven't used those template things in a long time. I should pull them out for a change of look. And, you know, as things change, you know, we get new ideas, we try different things. But, you know, I've seen more people doing those grids type layouts. And if you've seen the page that is for our sketch, I know that Melinda has already got hers loaded up. So she's entered in our contest. But this was the page, the grid style page that was the inspiration for our sketch. And, I was able to incorporate many different hairstyles over the years, as I have tried many colors and many lengths and curly and straight and you name it. But yeah, and I think that a grid is a fantastic way to put, to let your stories tell some of the photos, because sometimes we don't really know what to say. What am I going to say? Look, I've had lots of different hairstyles. Okay, well, yeah, I said that on the layout too. But sometimes your photos are telling a story, and I think that grids can be a great way to show that progress or chain of events or whatever. And I think that that's super fun. And you might remember the one that I did during our load challenge here. And I had done this one. And so I've got this big grid of different little pictures showing me at Creativation there. And I thought that was, I wanted to be able to showcase like the big excitement of it. And I think that was great. I was trying to find one that I did years ago of my son. I was trying to get a nice picture of him. And so I'm taking a picture, and this is back in the days of film. So, every time he wouldn't smile, he'd kind of pretend he was going to smile, and I'm like, okay, good. We finally, got through that. And then he would make a face. And I was so cheesed at the time. I remember being so cheesed that he was like ruining these photos. Well, when I got that film back and I put together a grid style layout, I think it had like 8 or 9 kind of like the sketch layout. It's very much like this. If I can find it, I'll share it on the post for the replay. But I, afterwards, it was great because I had all these different faces. And so I ended up, instead of having this pretty little photo of him posing for a photo, I had all these crazy faces that he was making. And it became like a much better page because of it. And I think sometimes when we think of like grid, we think, oh, it's so structured and so formed. But there's different ways of pulling that apart. Yes, thanks, Natalie. Thanks. I totally forgot. I didn't post up the PSD file for the sketch, but I'll do that right after the video. Okay. And sometimes like just thinking about how you can use grids in other ways. Like here, this is still a grid style layout, although it's not so much, like it's not as big of a grid as the other one. It just has the 4 photos. And you could have treated that, like basically I treated the 4 photos as one photo on the page. That's just another way you can kind of incorporate that. And this was a fun thing here. I just didn't stick the corner down, so I can pull that journaling up, and you can pull it right out of a page protector, but it just sits in behind. So other sneaky things that I do to, those go-to designs, one of my very, very favorite go-to designs is the giant photo design. So I love to use a giant photo because it leaves so little space for adding your other stuff. You have a little bit of room to add your journaling. You have a little bit of room to add just a little bit of like titles and embellishments, but you don't need a lot. And so absolutely one of my favorite go-to designs is giant photo. And this one's at 8 by 12. And here's another version of the 3 photo, 1, 2, 3. Instead of 1, 2, 3 across the page, I've got 1, 2, 3 going down the page. And, we've all learned about the rules of 3 and all of those things. And I think that, using 3 photos on a layout, it just works. It just works, and it's easy. Melissa says, do you print your giant photos at home? 8 by 12, I can't print right now because I don't have any photo paper for that. I have 8.5 by 11, so I do print that size sometimes. But everything else, I tend to print those at Costco, actually. I don't have good printing options here in my town, so I do print everything else here, but when it comes, if I want actual 8 by 12s, I usually end up ordering those through Costco. Yeah, so that's just some of the layouts that I had pulled where I just thought of like some of my simple tricks. Anybody else have like the simple things that they go to over and over again because they're just like the tried, tested, and true? And it's funny because these are all layouts that are featuring lots of photos. And I would say that 90% of the photos or the layouts that I'm making now only have one photo in them. Sorry, that's not the book that I thought it was. But even then, like, you have limited options. You end up putting your picture up in the top right corner or the top left corner or the bottom right or the bottom left, or you go wild and you stick it right in the middle. Like, it becomes like this thing where once you realize that, okay, these are my design options, I think that it's made my pages go a lot faster. I've just become more comfortable with those kind of design options. Okay, so this was the storage for my templates. And like I said, they're just in plastic sleeves. And I've gone through and I have added little tabs to kind of indicate the different sections of them. So I have one that's all circle templates, geometric, swirly, and then there's like the ones that are small and not the big ones. So that that's my system for that. And I think that by setting up these systems, and when you find something that actually works, it's like, yes, because it just means that you spend less time either looking through the things. And that's what I found, like templates. I didn't find an organization system until I got to that pain point. And once I reached that painful point where it was like, I'm so sick of just looking through these when I just want to get to the heart one or the circle one. I just want that circle one. And that's when I finally made that shift and said, okay, these need a new system. Melinda says, the more I scrap, the faster I get. If I take any time off, like a few days, my first layout takes longer. Yeah, it's just getting that creative juices flowing and finding that pacing again. And I think Melissa, she says, I'm like that too, Melinda. Yeah, and I think that's one of the beautiful things that most of us tend to enjoy about Load is once you get crafting every day, you're like, okay, this is good. I'm on a roll. April says, that's so true, Melinda. Yeah. And I think, yeah, it's that constant maintenance of staying on, just doing that little bit of crafting as much as possible. And of course that can be hard. It's hard to fit that in. I do have a new thing that I just organized, my newest organization thing, and I'd love to share that. Melissa says, I also find that if I have to stop in the middle of a page and I don't get to finish it, I get stuck. I'm working on a page tonight. I started in Load a month ago. Well, I'm happy to hear that you're scrapbooking tonight. That's awesome. And yeah, once you lose that momentum, and then it's hard to come back to that project again. Sue says, I've always been a speedy scrapper. I have to stop and think to use other techniques, or I just do the same thing over and over. I had reached a point back in the days when I only did double page spreads where every single page looked exactly the same because I had my set design of how all the pages looked. Oh my gosh, I wonder it would probably take me like 1 minute to flip into one of those older books and be like, this was my design that I used every single time. I would have 3 pictures down the one side, and there would be a big one here and another one here, and then on the other side, it was just exactly the same thing. And that's great as long as it's not feeling monotonous. It felt like that was the only thing I was doing. Whereas now, even though I'm doing variations and I use this, I have like a bigger toolbox that I can kind of reach into and dig through and these different ideas that come up. Okay. I just organized my plastic page protectors. So that's been a really good thing for me because once again, I'd reached that pain point where the system, if you can even call it that, just wasn't working for me. I had the page protectors, and what I would do is I would draw on the package so I could really see what was in the packages. And, you know, then I would keep track, like, oh, there's this many left of them or whatever. And I'd have the different designs on there. And that seemed like that was going to be fine and working, but I had so many different styles and so many different kinds. And so what I've actually done now is I have a big rolling bin. So it's kind of like a Raskog, but not quite. It's a big file box. And inside the file box, it has all these hanging files. And so inside the hanging files now, I have them all labeled with the descriptions on the plastic sleeves. So if you want, I can roll it over here. You can have a quick look. Okay, here it is. This is the big rolling box. Hopefully you can hear this still. So this is the big rolling box. The box does come out of here, but it tends to weigh 1,000,000 pounds when it's full. So in here, I just have all the hanging folders, and then I wrote things on the hanging folders. And I think what I'll do is I'll make like a key, basically, that sits in the front of the box that kind of shows all the different options. But you can see on here, I've got the little things, and this one here says 6x8 horizontal in the middle. So it's a 6x8 page with the horizontal picture in the center. And I think that that's going to work really well because I have been making a lot of pocket pages, and I've been trying to catch up with some pages that I've missed. And I think that by having this new system, it's going to be like, oh, just grab the one that I need, and I'll have a better idea of what I actually have available. And that way, when I'm looking at my photos, I'll be able to think, oh, that design might be the best one. I love having different options for it. I don't want to have to close down my options. I considered that. I thought maybe what I need is fewer options so that I just have an easier choice. And I've decided, no, I like having lots of options. I just need a better way of managing them. So that's my new system. I think it's going to be great, actually. I'm very excited about it. Sue says, that's why I love the technique prompts that we get in the members only load. It makes me remember that I have a bigger toolbox. Well, I could definitely incorporate more technique prompts into other loads as well. I love getting feedback about what you find that actually helps you to do your creating. So if we want more technique things, I actually think we only had one technique-ish based prompt this month, and that was our Olympic Games, where we had the little challenge of things to put on the page. And I kept it fairly simple, but I knew that it would be manageable, but still, kind of fun to try to do the scavenger hunt and get those things onto the page. But if having more technique-y prompts would be good once in a while, then yeah, we can definitely fit that in there. Yeah, and I think once you know those elements of design and you kind of know where the photos fit onto a page, then it gives you that opportunity to kind of play with what you want in the background. And you can keep that as simple or as creative and arty as you want. And I think that that's really fun too. So anybody with other takeaways from this? Melinda says, I love technique prompts. So that's good. I love to hear this because if everybody's like, no, I only want story-based prompts, then that's fine. We can stay there. But if you want that mixture of different ones, we can work those in. That totally works. I love it. I like to give you guys what you're looking for, what's going to be the most helpful to you. So that's awesome. Yeah. So any other thoughts, takeaways? Is there any news about Reunion? I've been talking with Connie Hanks, She's in San Diego, so we are working together on finding the location. And as soon as we have that hotel nailed down, then we'll send out. I'll put up like the sign up and registration. I don't really want to put it up and say, hey, it's gonna be like we kind of want to have it nailed down so that everybody knows before they're booking their flights. And I want to get that as soon as possible so that flights can be booked and everything done. So not quite. Yeah. You're like, you don't have enough info yet. That's understandable. Yeah. The first hotel and the second hotel actually that I contacted were both out of our price range by a lot. So I was like, wow, that's crazy. And I tried to work with them, and they came back to me, and their base price was basically the cost of our whole reunion with food, with rooms, with everything last year. So that wasn't going to work, but there's lots of options. Like, that's not the only place. So we're still looking, and thankfully Connie's like, hey, can I help with that? And I'm like, that would be fabulous. So that's really good. So yeah, we're hoping to have it soon. So I'm crossing my fingers about that too. Apparently I've got lots of crossed fingers right now. Okay, so that's reunion and other things that are happening. Don't forget that if you wanted to renew memberships, that you can use that Load 217 coupon this month, and your renewal rate should be around $79, $80, whatever that comes out to. I think it's like 20% off. And when you update it, it will not give you a year added to your thing, but I go in there and I manually fix that. It's a system thing, and I'm sure there's a setting somewhere that you just click this lovely little box and it's like, do it like this. And I don't know it, but I'm seeking out a little bit of help to fix some of the streamlining things that should work but don't seem to. And hopefully then we will not have those problems. But for now, I know how to fix the problems when they arise, and that's a good thing. So if you do renew, when you see the renewal, the dates will be wrong, but I'll go ahead and I'll fix them so that you get credited for a full year past your actual ending time. So that's just an option for right now. Okay, that's all I can think of. Sue says, you're doing a great job, Alice. Well, thank you. Yeah, it's okay. Like, I didn't actually say anything in the Scrap Happy group because I kind of forgot as the 1st of March kind of rolled around. But that was actually my takeover date. It was the 1 year. So I'm actually celebrating 1 year of running our Scrap Happy group right now. Woohoo! Yeah, thanks, April. Yeah, so I was really excited, and I think I'm still feel like in a couple ways there's things that I'm getting my feet wet and figuring things out. But, now that, I've got a little bit of time behind me, I feel really comfortable, ish in what I'm doing. And I just love it, right? I love spending time with you, and I love the activities that we're doing together. And I love that everybody's coming together over scrapbooking. Like, just makes me super excited. I'm very passionate about it. And so I love that so much. And I just want to say thank you. Like, it's been amazing. This year has been so much fun for me. Like, my husband had said, well, do you like this? And I'm like, no, I love it. And, he kind of laughs because he knows that I love it because I'm always talking about it. It's a big source of joy for me. So hopefully I can spread that to you, and we can tell all our scrapbooking stories together. So that's what I'm here for. Anyways, I'm going to have to wrap this up for tonight. And if you're catching this on the replay, I hope you had lots of fun, and I hope everybody has a few different ideas. And I'd love to kind of see how any inspiration that you take from this, show us what you're doing with it. So if you're saying, I need to actually just realize what my go-to styles are. And, maybe you're going to sketch them out on a sticky note. I do that literally all the time. I always have little sketches. You can't see that because it's way too bright. Sorry. There we go. I always have little sketches on a sticky notepad, and I use those all the time. So maybe you just need like your go-to sketches so that things can be just that little bit easier the next time you sit down to scrapbook. Or, maybe cleaning up your page protectors will make your next time you sit down just that much easier. So think of how you can make your scrapbooking process a little bit cleaner and simpler for yourself. So here we go. Okay, I will talk to you all soon, and hopefully maybe we can scrapbook together on the 12th. Okay, talk to you later. Bye.